Welcome to the space between. What if the crumbling is a new beginning? Victoria Kray and I explore one of the biggest questions of our time. What becomes possible when the old world no longer works? Here's our conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the space between. I am really damn excited about having my guest today, Victoria Kray. Welcome to the Space Between podcast. Thank you for being here.
What? I know I've known you for so long, Alyson. So this is a treat to finally be here. Thank you so much. Can't wait to get into it with you and talk about this crazy time we're living in and what the astrology says about it.
Absolutely. And today we are going to talk about the crumbling systems. We're going to weave in some power, probably weave in some money. And I'm already going to ask you to come back for a part two, because there's no way in hell we can unpack all of this.
There's a lot. There's a lot of issues we have. We could go on for hours.
There's a lot. There's a lot. And we are recording this at the end of October 2025. I think given the wild times we're in, it's important to have the context. There's a lot of shit going on. And it's been a wild time. So you and I met, it's funny, I was actually going to go into my email and try to figure out what year we met, but I feel like we met almost 10 years ago.
I would
maybe
say
a little.
probably 2015, 2016 through my jewelry. Yeah.
Right. Yes. And so you are incredibly talented. I'm going to toot your horn. I met you through your jewelry business, Vega. Which immediately caught my eye, and I became a fan ASAP.
You have a necklace on right now.
I have a necklace on right now, and so do you.
Yes.
And you're also an incredible astrologer. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who is Victoria? What does she do?
Okay. Hi there. I'm Victoria. I live in Maui, Hawaii, but I'm kind of a gypsy by birth. I've lived all over the place, and most of my past 25 years were spent in Los Angeles. Started off in the film business, working at talent agencies and movie studios, and then this thing called astrology happened to me a little bit before my Saturn return, and I decided to hit the eject button on that life path, and came to Maui the first time. So I lived here for a few years. Got into being an artist, bounced around LA and New York. I think you probably met me when I was living in New York.
Yes. You were just about to move or something.
They're like,
I think that sounds
leaving. But this was all, crystals. And this was the Neptune and Pisces era, which we're wrapping up right now. And we'll talk about why that's so relevant to everything that's shifting and dissolving right now. Because Neptune is about dissolving. It's about art and music and magic and mysticism and all of those sparkly things that we've been enjoying. And it's, social media and all of that, this journey of how are we presenting and what has it done to the collective mindset? We have a lot of people who are suffering from a very mentally ill version of Neptune with mass delusion and cult mindsets and, detachment from reality, expecting that the rapture is going to come pick you up and save you. And, this is all very much in the astrology, but now we're coming into this new era. And, I've been a professional astrologer since I want to say 2018, although I was, trained and did astrology for about a decade before that. And it was really that when the politics started shifting to where we are now, that I could see that we were going to get fast tracked to a screeching halt and some kind of disaster to the system. This is probably when people started mainstreaming the idea of late stage capitalism and that concept, and just even understanding that started coming into my frame of reference. And I went through a significant illness that really had me, question a lot of things in my own life and my priorities. So I say being an artist was something that was very important for me to achieve, being a self-employed artist for 15 years. And after working for people, very powerful people and very, toxic environments. And I hit the eject button on that, and it wasn't easy. But then needing to move into like my vocation is astrology. It's a calling. It's necessary. Yeah. It's service. It's a relationship between me and my clients and students, etc. So I still am an artist, but I say my vocation is astrology.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I have a journalism background that I never did anything with, but you know.
I could see that because you speak and write so well. And we'll obviously, towards the end, talk about where people can find you. You have amazing spaces.
Thank you.
For people to come and gather and speak the freaking truth about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
We don't sugarcoat.
We don't. There's no bullshit in the bee space.
I do love crystals and magic and all those things, but we also slice through it, and we need to be frank, and we need to not pussyfoot around things anymore. We were raised as Gen Xers, you don't talk about religion or politics or money.
Or sex, religion, politics.
Or sex. Don't talk about any of that.
Yeah.
And therefore, part of our generation is about breaking through that and the consciousness expansion that's happening right now is what it's all about. Certain things aren't going anywhere. My art isn't going anywhere. Certain things that we've engaged in are, over the years, and projects or relationships, some things aren't going anywhere, but a lot of things are being released right now, and you have to lighten your load, right?
Yeah. And the crumbling. So let's talk a little bit more about what that means. So I say that all the time. It's an interesting word. Mm-hmm. You could say it using a lot of different words.
A lot of people.
What I call this
collapse.
Yes, collapse.
Okay.
Since 2020, and really, for those who knew something was coming, probably 2018, 2017, we knew there was going to be a major event and a split. And this is what I coined the space between. And the thing about the space between is that so many things are collapsing, crumbling, falling, changing, transforming, all of those words. And we don't have any clue what lies ahead. Right. We can see what happened in the back. Now, some of you, the astrology will tell us, but the actual little tactical pieces of where are we going with government, healthcare, celebrities, money, you name it, right? Mm-hmm. Spirituality, belief, right? Purpose, community, all these things. We're not quite sure what's ahead. So talk to me about how do you define what collapse is?
I believe
and crumbling.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that this is about the institutions of power. So that government is an institution. The church is an institution. Sports are an institution. Hollywood is an institution. These are all institutions that have a lot of power over large numbers of people. And when Pluto got into Capricorn, which rules these institutions and the material world manifestations of these institutions. It's not like it's just an institution and it has no power. No, it has money, it has status, it has power. And those are my three things that I like to talk about a lot. MSP, baby, money, status, power. We got to talk about money, status, power. And so Pluto entered, Pluto's a generational sign. It takes about 20 years-ish in each sign, although it's not the same because of the orbit. It's not a perfect circle around the sun. So some signs Pluto is in for much longer than others. But in general, it's about 15, 20 years, okay? And so when Pluto got into Capricorn, that was 2008. We had Barack Obama get elected. It was a huge surge of evolution because Pluto's about evolution. And so we were like, yay, we're breaking barriers, right? And it did.
Little did we know.
It also unleashed a backlash. It also, it's a pendulum, right? And so it's like there was progress in other areas. We also had a financial meltdown that was based on greed and corruption and people selling bad mortgages. And, the system was not punished at all. It was bailed out and nobody went to prison, not one person, for any of those crimes. And so
and their books went like this.
Right.
And we're going to get into that too.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So this is what Pluto was doing. Think of Pluto as a very slow moving. He only goes 2 degrees per year, slow moving train. But you can hear him coming years in the distance. He'll slowly start approaching. And it's not that he's making these things happen. He's just reflecting what's going on. He's not, the planets are not, they're not doing something to us. They're just reflecting. So if we go back in history, we can look at what happened 250 to 270 years approximately ago, the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, right? So Pluto moved his way through Capricorn, and all these ugly things started coming up to the surface, where we see the peak of disgusting celebrity culture, a la the Kardashians. Wealth. Capricorn is about wealth. Pluto is about wealth. Okay. And so we saw the concentration of wealth go higher and higher. And then we know also in the past 10 years, on top of it, how many $3 trillion went to the top people, and there's some huge, huge heist,
Yeah.
And so while the systems were crumbling and the technology, for better or worse, is connecting us, and now we have information, and then
that we never had before. I call that period the reveal.
Yes.
And everything was peeled back. All these things that maybe you thought might be happening in the underworld, or the rooms that we couldn't be in.
Yeah.
Hello.
Right. That's right.
You couldn't hide. And you couldn't look away.
Right. And it's also slow. So when you now have the perspective, and end of 2025, but when you're in it, you're like, what is going on? And Pluto, he also on the personal level represents the soul's journey. So all the souls on this planet have had to become aware that there's something wrong. There's a power dynamic that's very wrong wherever Pluto is transiting. And then over the past 2 years, since beginning of 23, March of 23, Pluto was taking his time leaving Capricorn and entering Aquarius. He's now firmly in Aquarius. He will never go back into Capricorn for 240 some years. But he's in Aquarius.
It's a big shift.
It's shifted, and it's a big shift. And it's a lot. Think about it. When he first went in 23, that's when all the AI stuff came out immediately, literally like the same week. The face stuff where you could completely change, and create, and ChatGPT and all of these things came out, and other things have happened as well in technology. But what's the correlation between what we're seeing now, what Pluto's doing at the beginning of his Aquarius, and what Pluto did at the beginning of Capricorn? He showed us a positive surge forward in some regards. And he also showed us, this huge weakness. This Cancer, Pluto's Cancer, this Cancer-like energy in this area. And so we're seeing it in technology. We're seeing it with the merging of government and technology. And
Palantir, look that up.
The people that have gone to the dark side. That's right.
Look that up.
That's right. And they knew. And I saw a clip from like 2011 of Peter Thiel talking about, and think of all the things we can do when we have the ability to use this technology and blah, blah, blah. We no longer have to count on voting. Right. So
this has been in the works, both astrologically and in the third dimensional physical construct, for a very long time.
Oh, this is why we're alive right now.
Yeah.
And even though Pluto's only going to be in Aquarius for 18 more years, it doesn't mean we're in the age of Aquarius. I want to just clarify that. We are birthing the age of Aquarius.
It's the very beginning.
It's a long process. And no one can say it started this day or that day. It's a 500.
Yeah, nobody really knows.
It's a 500 plus year era.
But the Aquarian energy is here.
The
Aquarian
we'll talk more
about
energy
that.
Is here. Correct.
Yeah.
But it does take, we're not just sitting back and it's not just rolling over us. We are participatory in this collapse. Or you can dig in and cling to the old system and get swept away when the hurricane waters come. Right? Yeah. But we don't want to do that. We're not doing that.
No.
People listening to this are not doing that.
Right. We're not doing that. This is what the space between is, how do we fix what's broken? And we can only do that when we connect back to ourselves and figure out why we're here and how and the reason that we came back. I mean, that's the point of the purpose, right?
Yes.
So institutions, let's talk quickly about that. So to kind of break it down, this is the way I see it. And I would love your perspective because everyone's perspective is their reality, right? So my perspective is humans created all of these structures. They created all of these institutions
Yes.
within certain energetic timelines,
Correct.
right? There were certain energies that come from the planet. I love what you said about it mirroring the collective. Like, I actually have never thought about it that way. And that so resonates with me. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where every time I see something collapsing, I automatically stop myself from going down a rabbit hole and being like, well, it was made that way. Why can't we make it different? And I'm an Aquarius rising, so I always think like that.
Yeah, change.
This is just something.
Change.
And by the way, all
Questioning
these
reality.
right, and all these contracts that we got into, because by the way, guys, all of this is a fucking contract, and we don't have to continue to sign on the dotted line. Okay, we don't have to do that. Religion
Correct.
is a perfect example. Healthcare. You're going to pay and I'm going to give you care. Well, guess what? That doesn't happen anymore.
Correct. We
And
give
guess
money
what?
and you don't
People
come.
are unwell.
That's
That
right.
contract is null and void.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about what you think about the creation and the crumbling of these institutions and where you kind of feel like there is hope. This isn't doom and gloom.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Or a starting point, because the thing is, Pluto in Aquarius is also going to advance the power of community in ways we have never seen. The reason why the institutions that are crumbling is because they're connected to the dominant energy of capitalism / colonialism / capitalism / white supremacy / patriarchy. Those are all the same thing. They're all the same
/ greed.
dominant form.
It's greed.
What?
It's greed.
Right. It's greed and it's dominance. It's also dominance. It's not always about money for people. Sometimes it's about the power is about dominating other people. And that's why also I think it's important to note that in these past 10 years since we've known each other, how much has the word narcissism passed through your ears? And you heard people use that word. And, people always say, oh, you got to be careful not to call everybody a narcissist. Sure. But it's also acknowledging that we have a mass epidemic of a mental illness on this planet that is absolutely connected to abuse and greed and these systems. These systems are narcissistic. It's I'm better than you and I can extract everything out of you, but also I need you too. I need you. A narcissist does not like to be cut off. It's 11:11 here in Hawaii. A narcissist doesn't like to be cut off. And narcissistic systems don't want to be cut off. If I'm seeing, mass cancellations of health insurance right now based on what's happening with these premiums, right? Right. And there's other micro...
Which is all part of the plan.
That's
folks.
right. And there's more micro systems that are cropping up in alternatives. And there's also the power mindset that is community being born and mutual aid communities and these systems where you pay in and, blah, blah, group plans. And
how do we care for each other?
How do we care for each other?
Community.
What's my best chances? Blah, blah, blah. And how do we do this where I'm not going fully off grid. I'm not going, to live in the middle of nowhere off grid. No, I'm still connected to the system, but I'm actually correcting myself out of that's taking the power back. So Pluto's in Aquarius and it's saying, okay, where do I find power in community? Where do I not feel connected? And therefore, how do I need to evolve? Because these old systems, especially with Pluto and Capricorn, it was very material based, it was very much how much money do I have in the bank? This sense of security that people are obsessed with in our culture. especially American culture.
Yeah. How do I look? Where do I live? What do I drive? What do I wear? I got caught up in it.
Yeah,
I was caught up
everyone
in
has.
it.
It's shoved down your throat since the minute you're born until you
it's part
liberate.
of the. It's part of the system.
That's right. And so when Pluto's moving into Aquarius now, he's saying, okay, so there's this aspect of community, and then there's also this aspect of consciousness. What is the group consciousness, the group mind, the collective unconscious, all of these concepts that have to do with a lot of different people's individual minds and consciousness connecting, right? And so it's recognizing the power of group meditation, the power of putting a lot of minds together who decide, we're not taking this anymore.
Yeah, to solve problems.
Yeah, I'm not even wasting my time arguing with certain people anymore because it's completely useless. It's extracting yourself from the people and systems that are narcissistic, dominance-based, and really about some kind of extraction from you.
Yeah. I love when you said that, by the way, because that is such an important piece of this. Because a system that lives on its own, that could be corrupt or could be whatever. There's other ways to have a system. That's not what these systems are doing.
No, and that's why they're doubling down.
Think about, again, October 2025. How fucking expensive is everything? Guys, that is by design.
Of course.
All of this is by design.
Yes.
I want to be like, wake up. Why is everything so expensive?
Yeah, they're like, how much can we get out of you until you're totally desperate?
And knowing, completely reliant in every way on said system.
That's right. Remember years ago, also before 2020, there was this very big concept of like this solar flash. And now people are talking about it again. And, and people, I remember back in like 2014, 15, 16, it was like people thinking it was a literal instantaneous moment of mass enlightenment. And it's kind of where you get the distorted story of the rapture. People who are religious extremists, fundamental.
Oh, we're going there. Let's go there.
Yeah, I'm saying they believe it. It's like this same distorted, like I'm going to be instantly saved. I'm going to be instantly zapped out.
I believe it happened in 2020.
I believe it's
a slow, 100%
like the way
believe
Pluto's a slow moving train, but there's an impact zone. And the impact zone was then. And the thing is that Saturn and Pluto, Saturn is death, and so is Pluto. And Saturn is karma, and so is Pluto. They're both karmic, and they're about endings. And they met up once in 40 years, and they met up in Capricorn at 22 degrees. That was January 10th, 2020. That was when COVID was spreading. And really, it's like, what's the bigger impact? It was that we realized how corrupt systems are, how some systems work. Yeah, for sure. And some things, we can rely on, but other things, it was all about what can you rely on and what can't you rely on. And it was a precursor to these things are going to be going away. A lot of things.
Yeah, and it was also a time for you to sit home and think about, what do I actually need? What do I need out of my life when things were taken away from us, or there were things that were never going to come to be again that we relied on for so many years as an individual, collective, society, whatever. You wake up and you're like, I remember having moments after we kind of got out of lockdown, and I was trying to do the same things I did.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing felt the same. And that was a big part of this work with the podcast, because I thought, I have something to say about this. And I have an interesting perspective given my chart, which and my dear friend Daryl knows very well. I mean, I'm so grateful that I feel very lucky, and like I feel like I have 2 steps in, right? Because I have you guys to tell me what the hell is going on. But that's why we need to share this, right? And like you said, now is the time to speak out about this, because there is a revolution happening.
There is 100% a revolution happening, and we are getting the cosmic wind at our backs to make it happen. I can assure you that. And this is why I'm optimistic about the future.
Me too.
Especially about 2026. I think this is very important for your listeners to understand. This is a very short summary. Next year, come July, The three farthest planets from the sun, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, are meeting up in an ultra harmonious alignment called a grand minor trine. This does not happen very often, and it doesn't happen with the three most powerful planets that have to do with our collective karma. So this has already been in play this year, and it was building for the past few years. But next summer, it perfects, so to speak, in astrology, meaning the exact degrees and the exact minutes of these degrees. And it's, it is, there is a very famous French astrologer who is not with us anymore, named Andre Barbeau. He passed away in 2019. He was the astrologer that very accurately predicted a pandemic like COVID in 2020. And this is based on 800 years of research that he did backwards in time. And whenever these three planets were in harmonious aspects like they are building to right now, we had things like the Enlightenment. We had long periods, decades long periods of time in humanity where we were on the up and up. Things were looking better. Consciousness was expanding. We were burning through old karma and going to new places. And when these
building new systems,
the new systems, the very large scale changes in humanity. Right. And so I trust history and pattern recognition and these cycles. And even Pluto in Aquarius. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the American Revolutionary War. The French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, they all happened. And what was that about? Let them eat cake. It was like the wealthy extracting everything they can, and the people below, the masses, revolting. And it's exactly what's happening.
We're not going
right
to take this.
That's right. Yeah. So these three planets next year, though, that is like, I'm giving you a magic baseball bat, Alyson. And I'm telling you now, October 29th, 2025, come July, you're gonna have your chance at bat. And you're gonna have that magic bat, and you can hit it out of the park in your own personal life and set off a decades-long period of life where things are on the up and up. Does this mean everything's going to be resolved and pretty and tidy next year?
It's life.
It's life,
people.
But it means that we are in this space right now. This is the space between. Literally, we are in the period of time right now where Saturn and Neptune went into Aries earlier this year, and they're back in Pisces, wrapping up. Saturn's wrapping up a period that began in 1997. Neptune's wrapping up a 165-year trip around the zodiac. They're never going to be here again. Saturn and Neptune have never met up at zero Aries like they will on February 20th. It's over 6,000 years. The software goes back 6,000 years. And zero Aries is the first degree of the zodiac. And then we also have Uranus going back into Taurus for a hot minute, but they'll all be back in their new signs next year, and they're going to lock in. So this alignment is known as the Barbeau basket, based on the guy who developed it, or people will refer to it as the grand minor trine of 2026. So every single person that I work with in one-on-one sessions, I start off by making sure they fully understand this concept, where it is in your chart, and what are you doing with this? Because again,
and what it's activating.
You're being handed the energy to make massive long-term changes in your life. And the reason why it's so bumpy right now is because it's moving everything up to the surface. And once these planets lock in next year, none of these slow-moving outer planets are changing signs for 8 years.
Wow.
Uranus will be in Gemini for 8 years. Neptune will be in Aries for 14 years. And Pluto will be in Aquarius for 18 more years. So, we've been living through...
This is the energy.
This is the energy of like, okay.
Yeah.
And so between now and February, when first Saturn and Neptune will make that zero Aries mark, Saturn will move on because he moves quicker. And then those three outer planets will make their way to 4 degrees. Pluto will be at 4 degrees of Aquarius. Uranus will be at 4 degrees of Gemini. And Neptune will be at 4 degrees of Aries. And this is like nuclear energy in the best way. It's a massive amount of energy for change. So thinking about like politics and things that are coming, we're not going back to the system the way it was, no matter what. I mean, even if somehow, no, the whole thing has to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a good point. And let's unpack what you just said. There is so much fear right now.
Yes.
Because we don't, again, space between. We don't really know what's ahead.
Right.
I mean, there are going to be, like you said, so many things and so many changes. What I always caution people that say that is, are you happy with the way things have been?
Yeah.
If you actually take every piece of conditioning that's been shoved into your psyche over the whole entire of your whole entire life, and we could unpack colonialism and all of it, right? We're not going to do that on this call. Maybe that's another call. Yeah. But it is, check in with yourself. Is this working for hardly anyone? And quite honestly, it's not working for the billionaires either. These people are going to run and hide. They're scared shitless.
They are.
They know what's coming. They feel it. This is the end stage of all of this.
They know.
They're not. Yeah, these people are not stupid. And they just don't give a fuck, right? Again, MSP,
they're
money,
also
status,
so
and power.
far gone. They and you know what? There is psychological academic research that has been done linking extreme wealth and psychopathy. I mean, it's like and sociopathy, and so it is something that develops. It's not just always that you're born with that.
It's funny. I have a quick story to share with you, and I don't think I ever shared this with you. So I live really close to Central Park, and I can see from my window Billionaires Row. So my neighbors are these people. Yeah. Okay. Which is, the irony is not lost on me. Yeah. And I was walking through the park one day, and I came out, and there's a building called 15 Central Park West, which is where a lot of these people live. Mm-hmm. And this was many years ago. And Lloyd Blankfein or Blankman, I don't know. Yeah. He was the CEO of Goldman Sachs at the time. And I look over to the building, and the light was shining so beautifully on this building. And it looks like a fortress. You can lock the whole thing down, which is also a little eerie. Yeah. And I'm very observant. So I was like, that's an interesting energy. Yeah. Well, he walks out.
Oh, my gosh.
And he had so many people surrounding him. And I thought, can you imagine what his life must be like?
I can't.
He has created a cage. Yeah. Of his own making.
I was in Hollywood. I know people like this.
Yeah, you get it from. Oh, you have brushed hands with many very famous people.
Well,
more than
I
once.
Wouldn't want to be in that position, and it's not fun. And even people who aren't famous but who have a lot of wealth. I mean, it is a cage. That's exactly what it is.
They're so paranoid. There's
so
no way of living.
Paranoid about being robbed of their money. And, it's ironic that in my spiritual journey and coming up through the wellness and yoga and astrology spaces, I found myself being, and a lot of privileged white women at those helms. I found myself very, I had to have some harsh lessons about seeing the level of it's almost like this inverse thing. The more unhappy they become as they're supposed to be more happy because they have more money or they have more money, status, or power, or more popularity or whatever. And it's often not that way. It's the inverse. And it is no way to live. So these people, they're building their bunkers. They're making their plans. Good. Move along,
Right. And they're extracting. I love that word. I'm going to keep using it. I'm stealing that from you. Yeah. They're extracting everything
from
they
can
not
get.
Just the bottom 25 or 50. This is the bottom, what is sad to say, probably about 80% of humans on the planet.
That's right. And the beautiful thing about technology, and there's very negative sides to what's happening, obviously, to social media and the addictions to it and whatnot, and just the influence on young minds, especially as we've seen with the all these young people getting sucked into extreme right-wing ideology in this country, which is so hard to believe for people like me growing up in the 90s. I'm like, I cannot believe I grew up with Alanis Morissette. I didn't think we were going to be dealing with Nazis again.
Yeah, nobody thought that. Like, right. I can't even imagine what my grandparents would say if they were still here. They'd be like 100, but oh my God.
Yes, exactly.
They wouldn't even believe it. They'd be like, what are you talking about? That's not possible.
Right? But the thing is that now the genie is out of the bottle. And we do have the sovereignty that we have been developing during those years with Pluto and Capricorn. Not everyone. Yeah. And usually the people that are still not sovereign are the people that are still benefiting from the system being the way it is. And so they haven't done that work because they're
or delusionally thinking they benefit from the
That's
system.
right. Or right. It's on both extremes, right? It's people who are too dumb or they're completely brainwashed, however you want to say it. They're
by design.
They're not aware. They're not aware. They don't have access to the information, whatever. And then, or they're so traumatized, like so many people, that doing this kind of healing work is not in their realm at all of normalcy. And they're just surviving, right? And so now those of us who have had a little bit more access to things, had to go through our
exposure,
our own deconstruction, because it's deconstructing that privilege and deconstructing and recognizing that, no, it doesn't benefit anyone, this system. And that can be very scary for people, especially people who are well-meaning. They're not out trying to dominate and oppress people. They're just comfortable, or they worked so hard to get there and they don't want to give it up. And there's this, this consciousness issue. So any problem that exists, has to be solved through a higher state of consciousness, right? Nothing can be solved with the same level. So that's why everything starts with the consciousness. And with Pluto in Aquarius, I am seeing that over the past 2 years. I am seeing Pluto as this unstoppable force. It's an unstoppable force. It absolutely cannot be stopped. Nothing.
Thankfully.
It cannot, right. Pluto cannot.
Thank God.
Pluto cannot, evolution cannot be stopped is the word, is how we say it. And we are not devolving. There is a small percentage of people, a tiny
that are hanging on,
that have all the power.
So small,
and they're hanging on, and they are devolving. They're going into the crazy zone now, and that's okay because we're taking the keys away. And that's what the collective has decided. We're
time to go to bed.
We're going to make nice protests, and we're going to make our signs, and we're going to be friendly and positive until that something shifts. And let's hope it stays that way, of course. But we're showing, and when people say, oh, it doesn't change anything, it doesn't matter, I say, absolutely it matters. It raises morale for all of us. And it is so rich to come back from something and be like, oh my God, thank God there's so many people out there who care. Who cares?
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. And then I want you to pick a card. Because I know we have two cards that we're going to pick. So why don't you shuffle up?
Yeah, while we're talking.
So I think something that I've been really hanging on, you mentioned technology, you mentioned being with like-minded people, the good and the bad of that, right? You get to see the other side and say, oh my God, I can't believe someone thinks that or feels that or whatever.
Right.
And then you also get to have conversations like this where we're having a beautiful conversation because we resonate with what's happening. Our perspectives are similar. Something that I want the audience to really think about, especially in this time, so much of what we see on the internet isn't real, isn't true. There is something called the dead internet theory, which basically says that 90% of the shitty comments that have happened, whether that's politically, whatever, is just bots.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can believe that. I very much believe that.
Yeah.
So instead of me saying, well, I'm not going to put this conversation out because I'm afraid that someone's going to disagree with me, they are going to disagree with me and it's going to be a fucking bot and I don't care. So I'm just going to say what I want to say and do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to talk to who I'm going to talk to and put it out there. And I think in your own life, for those folks out there, how can you take back some of your power that you feel like has slipped away in these crumbling systems?
Well, for one,
you can do it too.
Right. Well, for one, you can disengage from people who are not speaking up about the issues you care about. It has been very disheartening to see so many people be silent about Gaza and other issues. And
absolutely,
that means something. That is what this is about. And it's also to remember
we could do a whole episode, and I might do a whole episode. It's been very polarizing here in New York, as I'm sure you can imagine it is.
Yeah.
Families ripped apart, friend groups ripped apart, communities ripped apart. And it's like,
it's beyond political.
They want us in camps, guys.
Yeah.
But by design, don't forget what they're trying to do.
Right. That's just a test run.
Yeah.
It's just a test run. And so now enough people don't give a shit about being called a conspiracy theorist. It's not a conspiracy theory that Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and all the others are having some kind of plan. And it involves surveillance and it involves controlling all of our data that they stole. And we've got to do something about it. Right. Yeah. And we've got to
look what's happening in the UK.
Yes.
Last week.
Exactly.
Wake up.
Right.
Wake up.
Right. So let's get a card about that then. Let's get a card about that. And so it's
I love that.
Disconnecting from people that are connected to that old system, frankly. You know, if I see some kind of New York Times bestseller who's like a guru type, and I used to really like her, and I realize now she hasn't opened her mouth once about these uncomfortable topics, and she's got 3 million followers. I have no respect for you. I get it. You don't want to be political, or you don't want to do this or that, but this is how you.
It's not political. It's humanity.
Well, it is.
It's
of
humanity.
course it is. It's a consciousness issue, and it's not political. Yeah. It's not about the country Israel or the country the United States. It's about people doing things in our name that we don't want to be part of, period.
Right. That we're paying for.
That's right. That. And that's right. And so it's
our money, guys. By the way, all the shit that we're talking about, it's our fucking money.
And so people are paying taxes and people aren't
doing the drum.
That's right. And there's like tax
There's not a magical pot of money that exists without us. I think people think that.
They do.
It's like, no.
It's all in Fort Knox, don't you know? Right?
All right, so we're picking a card.
We're going to get an archetypal message. This is an archetypal message, just a theme for this conversation. And then we're going to pull a companion message from the Alchemy Guidebook. So we've got the archetypes and the alchemy from the wild unknown. All right. What's one message for this collective on this topic of revolution, evolution, and these times? You cannot make this up. We got the village.
I love when you pull cards.
The village. Yes! Okay.
Stop it.
It's all about
I love this deck.
The village. Okay. I'm going to read you a little excerpt from the book because this isn't a regular tarot card. So this is about the hometown, the family, and the tribe. Everything I talked about with Pluto and Aquarius. So this is about when it's dark, the shadow of this archetype is small-minded. Gossipy, trapped, restricted. Yeah, the old systems. Like, this is the way my family did it, or this is the way I was raised. We were always raised to be Republicans, or we were always raised to be Christians, or we were whatever these identifiers are.
Right.
That's the village shadow, right? When you're not taking responsibility and sovereignty for your own journey here in 2025. And
hiding in the system.
And hiding in the system. I'm not going to change this. It's never going to happen. That's cynicism, right? And then when this is light, the higher side of this card is intimate, rooted, intergenerational, and communal. Of course. Right. So it's focus on community. Focus on, where has your own family led you to this point as an adult? What work have you done on yourself?
Right. What are your stories?
Yeah. What are
that
you
believe to be true about yourself and the world? And I think while you're pulling the next one, think about, and something that's easy for me, and I've definitely had a lot of help with this, is like when I think of the Capricorn energy that we're moving out of, or that we have moved out of in a lot of ways, is it's very I. So the system is like singular, right? Like everything goes into this one funnel.
It's the pyramid.
Where where this more Aquarian, more community energy is like more, it's equitable. It's caring for one another. It's
cyclical.
There
reciprocal.
Is more than enough resources for 4 planets.
Yes, that's right. And they would have you believe there isn't. That's right. And it is a sickness, many Native American tribes and indigenous cultures legitimately treated people who took more than they needed as mentally ill. It was a mental illness, right? So let's get
a lot of Native American tribal wisdom has called for the same in this time.
That's right.
There's
Of
so
course, the
much
Hopi
of that.
prophecy right now. Exactly.
The Mayans, like all of these very rooted and indigenous to this land, the true indigenous people of this
Look
land.
at my hairs. My whole body.
Did you get it?
Good. Oh my God, my legs. Oh, one just came flying out. Look.
Yes.
Winter. Winter is coming. That's right.
It is figuratively and actually.
That's right. It's coming. And I have such chills. I'm hearing, of course, winter is coming like Game of Thrones. But it is. It's to this system.
Yep.
The death.
Oh my God. Now I have
end.
chills.
The end is coming. Here, I must hold on. I've got to hear this really quick. Let's see. Let me find the right page here. One moment.
And we're going to link these below because these decks are so beautiful, the Kim Kranz decks. So we'll link them below in the show notes.
And you know what? They go really well with astrology. I use these in readings and in classes, obviously, and they really, really just go along because astrology is archetypal and we are using alchemy. That's exactly what we're doing. We're looking at the hand of cards that we were dealt and we're saying, how do we play these? We have free will.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Astrology is all about you have inherited karma, you have collective karma, like we have karma as Americans. You know, we're part of a certain family, we're part of a nation, we're part of a religion, or maybe we weren't, but you know, some people have these identities. And I do think we need to have individualism. You know, we don't all have to be homogenous. Come on. But you also.
Well, the hive mind is breaking down.
It's
That's
breaking
sort of what
down.
we're talking
That's
about.
right. And you don't have to be so attached to these, you know, these things. And Saturn and Neptune, I just want to say this before I read it. Saturn is about manifestation in this dimension. He rules this dimension. Knock, knock, here's your body, here's your bank account, here's your home. You know, it's very tangible. It's a diploma, it's a title. It's, you know, there's a translation, right, in the material world. Or I had a vision of this man coming into my life and poof, here he is.
And poof, there he was.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's Saturn, and Neptune is the vision, the magic, the spirituality, the realization that we are all connected and we are all one. But you are an individual in Aries where they're meeting. It is an individualized spark of God, right? And so God, a source, whatever you believe in, didn't make and create all these different individual versions for us all to be the same. What's the point?
That goes against the hive mind, which is why it's breaking down.
That's right.
This is the most exciting yet scary. It's the most exciting and scary time to be alive. Like, there's a lot going on.
It's fun.
I mean, I get it.
You know what?
It
I
is.
used to be a lot angrier about everything.
Yeah.
A lot angrier about everything. And people keep saying to me, oh, you don't seem as angry as you were before. And I'm like, yeah, because I can see what I knew was coming for years and years. I see it. It's finally happening. I can feel it. That's why it gives me like, okay, yeah, there's still work to do. But, you know, the point is winter is here. And this is about solace, the pause, and the hermit. I'm going to read this one, okay?
Please.
In alchemy, winter comes first. It is the beginning, the origin. As winter casts its blanket of stillness across the land, we naturally turn inward. The mind and heart settle into Earth's darkest season. From this place of quiet, a single flame reconnects us to the mystery of our existence and the miracle of the breath. Regardless of when this card appears, it indicates we are suspended in Mother Earth's pause. And we're in this dark season right now anyway, even though we're not winter yet in the Northern Hemisphere. It is Scorpio season. It is dark. It is dark and the veil is thin, you know? So this says, this is not the time for doing, going, or getting. The alchemist knows winter opens the portal to the divine. Magic is afoot under the surface. Ding, 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 ding. In the glimmering snow and sparkling ice, we see winter's water in crystalline form, each droplet a prism into the mystic realm. Don't get caught up in the gloom or isolation of the season. Rather, spin toward the sacred light. Spring will come in time. So we're supposed to ponder the activity within dormancy. It's coming. We are birthing a new reality, and you can be sure of that. Because these planets don't mess around. And these three outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, they're very powerful on these collective cycles. So when I think of humanity on the Titanic heading towards an iceberg, right? Oh, the world's going into this dystopian tech feudalism nightmare, right? That's one direction. And then the other direction is we get out of this dominance based, system, and it's more collective and everybody steers this way, right? It is possible. Of course, it's going to happen. We're not going to let it go in that direction. But in your personal life, this is a huge opportunity to create the next multiple decades on the right foot consciously.
I love that you started with that, because this is a time when our eyes should be bright.
We should be excited.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
People are going to hear that and go,
I know.
What the hell is she talking about? I understand how someone could say that. And I have people that I love and care about a lot that are very despondent and very scared. And those emotions are valid.
They are.
Right.
And I promise you.
Right.
And it's not just saying, oh, this is based on, no, I mean, you can walk through and you'll see the progression of the planets in your own life.
Yeah.
And you've got to, this is about faith and trust. And I want to say this also for the people that are feeling despondent and are not feeling optimistic and think that I've been drinking the Kool-Aid. I've been there. Trust me, for years.
Same.
And I cannot help that I am in this space now. And I know it's because I'm supposed to be getting more people. Or another analogy I use is next July, we're going to meet at the train station, and there's 2 trains, and you can get on the old one that smells like pee. That's like an old broken down subway car, or you can get on the quantum high speed, Technicolor, and everybody looks like they're having a lot of fun. And there's people in costumes, and they're, I'm not going to force anybody to get on the fun train. I'm not going to force anybody. I'm going to just encourage people that want to get on that train. Here, this is how we do it. This is what you got to lose. This is what you got to let go of. This is what you need to focus on, because there's so many of us that are going in that direction. And
absolutely.
You just
absolutely.
And knowing you're going to have nuclear energy to create these communities, to create this system, to share information, to extract yourself from the tentacles that are trying to control you and to try to control all of us. We have a say. We have a say. We the people. The United States has an Aquarius moon in the collective birth chart. And the moon in a nation's chart represents the people. And Aquarius is why our founders signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, because they signed it when the moon was at 27 degrees of Aquarius. They deliberately chose that. They deliberately chose the time for the birth chart of the nation. You can do this if you're forming a corporation, if you're opening a restaurant, you're doing whatever. You can do a chart that's an event chart, or a chart for a nation or a corporation or whatever, and that's the energy that is reflected. And this is the Sibley chart in the United States. So we are meant to come together. We are meant to come together. And we also have a south node in Aquarius at 6 degrees, which means that Pluto is going to be transiting over the south node in the natal chart of the United States over the next few years, including next year when Pluto gets to 4 degrees of Aquarius. It will be perfectly conjunct the
this
nodal
is going to be
axis.
everything is going to look so different.
And it's also going to have us remember this collective energy, because Aquarius is collective energy. And our north node is in Leo. We've had all these little kings, all these little, people who are individual leaders. And now it doesn't mean we're getting rid of one or the other. It just means there has to be balance between Leo and Aquarius. And also, I just want to say,
absolutely,
when we go into the Aquarian age, and as we are going through this 18-year cycle of Pluto and Aquarius, this doesn't mean you don't get to be special and shine your little light and be a unique little Leo energy.
No, it's the time to do that.
No, you are that within the group. It's a group of a lot of unique individuals. That's the whole point.
Yeah, and I think you just highlighted, and we only have a few more minutes. I swear I could talk about this for hours with you. But all of us on this planet have walked through fire.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
of us different times and
Yeah.
different intensities, different stages. And I think for those of you that might be skeptical out there, being like, why the hell are they saying this?
Yeah.
If you're walking through fire right now, do not walk through that fire alone.
Absolutely.
That is
That's
the
right.
biggest thing, that there's some people that are going to be fired up after hearing this.
Yeah.
Yes. How can I get involved? Put me in, coach. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Right? This is a shitty sports analogy.
No.
Listen to my track that plays
Totally.
in my head.
Me too. I always
But,
call myself a coach. I mean, I'm not technically a
Right.
coach.
And so there are the first step, I would say, because this season, I really want to make sure that I'm leaving people with like
action.
a few tangible things, right? Because that's some feedback that I got. Number one, get really curious and start questioning why you believe what you believe. Really do a gut check. If you are saying, oh, well, I have to go do this or I have to go do that, or you feel pulled to a certain thing that you know underneath isn't right, stop and ask yourself why, and maybe make a different decision. Or maybe don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
And start thinking differently. Break away from the hive mind. Call Victoria.
Yes, go.
Get a reading.
Or come to a
I'll tell you
class.
what.
Yeah.
Listen, she has a lot of different options for people that want to get involved, all sorts of different price points. It doesn't have to be whatever. She has a lot of options. Get your chart read.
Yeah.
It is
It's
life-changing.
a critical guide. It's a guide. Okay. And again, you have free will. Nothing is just guaranteed to happen. But if I tell you, hey, this area of your life is getting like put on steroids for the next X amount of years, and you're going to have this ability to choose how to funnel that energy. And it's hitting these things in your personal chart.
It's more information. Why wouldn't you want more information?
More information. And therefore, when you also have a little, more historical context and you educate yourself a little bit more, if you are curious about astrology and you start learning more about these bigger cycles, you'll see and you'll feel it in your own life. It's like weather. It's the weather, it influences us, and it's exciting to me because astrology is the language of the Aquarian age. It is a language. It is not a belief system. It is not a religion. It can be spiritual, but it is not inherently a spiritual belief system. It is
the science.
It's a language. There is science to it. And there's a total intuitive, interpretive nature to it where it is subjective. And that's what makes it so fascinating. And I would love to work with anyone out there. I think the good news is 90% of the time, it's going to be so validating. And then you're going to have a roadmap, especially for the year ahead. I don't say this lightly. This is the most exciting time to be alive. And I've told my clients since going back 2 years, the people who've wanted to give up, the people who've been really down and out, I said, if July of 2026 rolls around and you want to give up, call me. I'll talk to you for free. Oh. But guess what? Don't give up until then. And don't give up.
Yeah.
But, I promise
we're at the end. We're at the very end of the birth canal.
Massive things happen. So I want people to remember that it is happening, and it doesn't matter whether you're aware of it or not. But if you're aware of it, it's going to make things a lot easier. And it's also just, camaraderie. We need to find different groups to participate in.
We need to stick together.
And we also need to hang out, off of social media, which is why, podcasts and hanging out. I have my own community where we meet, on Zoom. Nobody's monitoring us. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about, things like that. And then, of course,
be smart about it.
Everyone has to make a little bit more of an effort, after COVID and the isolation and the less socialization. The best advice I want to leave you with is getting involved with other people, period. New people,
advice.
Try some different things. Yeah. Go to a meetup, go to something where you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
You're
speaking my language. I was thinking about that yesterday. I walked past a class and I'm like, I need to get my ass to a class where I don't know anybody.
And just like when you are intuitively guided to try something new with new people that you don't know, do it. because we all are
Right.
going to be aligned. And I do believe the cosmos are working in our favor. And I do believe that, there is love in the universe and it wants to see us. So hopefully 3i Atlas is going to drop us a little juicy nugget. They're dropping us a love bomb. Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. But it is. I'm like, it's coming to help us. I'm not scared. Are you kidding me? I'm excited. You can find me on Instagram at Victory Astrology or my website, which is www.victoryastrology.com and vegajewelry.com, all one word. So we'll put the link there. Yeah, yes. And this was so wonderful, Alyson. I could talk to you all day. Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully I'll have my retreat next year that I'm planning. I was going to try to do it before, and then I'm like, we're going to wait till after July, and maybe it'll be August or September here in Hawaii. I'm going to do an astro retreat. So you're invited. Thank you. Yeah. Yay! Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for joining us in the space between. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and share this episode with someone you think will resonate with it. We will see you very soon in the space between.